Good morning, everyone. My name is Larissa Ramadan, and today I will be going over my counseling framework and personal values presentation. This presentation is grounded in my coursework at Adams State University and will be reflecting my experiences and aspirations as a counselor. We will first be discussing my views of human nature, perspectives on how people develop problems, the roles of both counselor and client, the process of change, and the importance of multiculturalism in counseling. Finally, I will share my personal goals for continued development. I hope you guys enjoy. To start off, throughout my entire time I attended this class, I learned so many different models and theories. And even though I listed them in the PowerPoint as psychoanalytic, Gestalt, cognitive behavioral, and many more, there was just so much to pick from. Feminist theory, queer theory, positive psychology. It was just so much to think of that I had to go through each and every one of them and kind of weigh its merits and flaws because I'm like, I wonder not only what would be good for me when I use it as a counselor, but also what would best suit me and best suit my personality and best suit my characteristic. So, putting my experience as a technician from both inpatient and residential, and going through fishbowls and practicum, I realized the two things I wanted to focus on: solution based and strength based are the ones that I chose as my primary theories. So, let's talk about why I chose to. The reason I chose to is not because I'm overzealous. I chose to because of the two facilities that I recently brought up. And like I said, even after I get my LPC, I still want to stick with these two facilities that I work at. I absolutely adore the field, and I just think I can bring a lot into it as a LPC. The first thing is, let's talk about it. I worked at an inpatient facility for 1 year. I learned during that inpatient facility real quick that crisis intervention skills and quick problem solving skills really do make or break this career. And because I was blessed enough to have that and be able to use that with patients that were being aggressive, that were being non compliant, it really did show how much was super solution based. And I didn't even know there's a word for that with the methods that I used until pre-prac, where they told me to focus on that. So after I learned about solution based, I thought, you know what, this is the way I want to go if I ever work at an inpatient facility again, because I see myself mostly using solution based when there's a crisis arising. But even though I worked at solution based, even though I worked at inpatient, I currently now work at a residential facility and subacute facilities for about 2 years now. And with that, I definitely know that I cannot rely on solution based as much as I used to, because not everything needs a quick witted response, but instead it really is rapport building, and it really is the patients getting to know you and trusting you. And then I thought, okay, so a lot of these guys have been in these residential facilities since I've been in second grade. They have been seeing, staff members come and go like a revolving door. So what method would best suit me in that situation? Because I can't rely on a quick-witted solution with patients that are going to be there probably longer than I'm going to be working there. And then I thought to myself, what do I usually do when I have someone talking to me about something? And then that's when I realized, and also my professor realized too, that I really do focus on a person's strength. And since I focus on a person's strength, and I use that as kind of the catalyst on them them building up their self esteem, or building up another solution, which is primarily me focusing on their past successes. That is what led me to strength based therapy. And I thought this would actually be really good for me to use it. But even though I talk about, these two theories and why I want to use them, let me talk about my view on people. My view on people is that I firmly believe that everyone is inherently strong and resourceful. But if but because of life circumstances such as trauma or lack of support, often block the strength from being realized. And the reason I say this is because this belief comes from my own personal experience. When I was a young kid, I was misdiagnosed with an IQ of 75. And I'm sure everyone knows the stigmatism that comes from that. I know I lived it. And because of that misdiagnosis, even though I didn't know at the time that it was wrong, I did know at the time that I wasn't, quote unquote, like other kids. So, because of that, I really did write my own fate into stone by not taking my studies seriously, by not thinking that I was going to college, and just by honestly getting a 1.0 during my entire time in my younger academic years. The one time that it changed is when I went to community college. And I went to the accommodation office and I explained the whole situation, and they did a retest on me. One thing I found out was I did not have an IQ of 75. I just had, an average IQ of 110. But what really, really, really was just most impactful for me was not the IQ test, but was the resources that this accommodation office gave me in order to succeed in my associates, then going to my bachelor's and now my master's. And they gave me resources on websites that I should use, on how to write APA, on what time the tutoring was so I can pass my math class, or certain subjects that I know I'm not good at, like math and science. And also just all of these experiences and this guide through really did cement that nothing is written in stone. And if somebody is given the right resources and the right guidance in a very non-judgmental factor, then anybody can succeed. And because of this, it really just taught me how much untapped potential that everyone truly does have, and how anyone can be a wealth of knowledge if somebody's just, there to help out. But even though I talk about, my strengths and my view of people, there also is a time where I need to talk about how people can start developing problems. People's problems can often come when past traumas remain unresolved, or when environmental factors such as family dynamics or societal pressures limit their ability to cope. When working at inpatient facilities, I unfortunately saw this a lot, where where acute crises can happen, or they usually do stem from long-standing issues and their inability to cope with it, or their inability to know how to cope with it in a healthy and productive manner. In these cases, therapy acts as a bridge, helping clients address immediate concerns while also building tools to manage long-term challenges. This perspective is why I rely on solution therapy for short-term solving problem skills and strength-based therapy for long-term growth. Each approach helps clients move beyond obstacles and regain control over their lives. Now, with that being said, let's examine the role of the counselor in this process. The role of the counselor. So, as a counselor, I see myself as a guide and an advocate. It is not my role to solve clients' problems, but to empower them to find solutions. This is another reason why I like the two theories that I brought into this PowerPoint. While in the beginning stages of psychology, it really kind of was formatted that we were the expert in their lives, and we had all the answers, and we were just this all-knowing entity. And this one is a lot more down to earth. We are here to help you. We're here to guide you. We're here to empower you to, make good decisions, but we don't know your life. We don't know what you went through. We don't know your experiences, and we don't know what your thought process is. And because of that, I believe that this fosters definitely more of a collaborative environment, because one, it builds trust with the clients, where they're thinking, oh, okay, not only is this counselor here to help me, but also this counselor doesn't think they know everything about my life. This counselor is just helping me reformat and rethink about different situations that happened and how I can go about it. And because of this therapeutic rapport and this trust, I really do believe that if we can build on that to rebuild their strengths and recognize their successes. But there is one line in my field that I use so much that really does talk about here. As you see in the third point, I adapt to methods that fit the individual's client's needs and circumstances. The line I always use is meet them where they're at. When you meet somebody where they're at, then you have a much better chance of success. And by that I mean, if right now the only goal they can see themselves doing right now is just, getting finding a home, getting a burger to eat or what have you, then that is where I'm going to meet them at. I'm not going to meet them at, let's get you into this program that'll help you go into college when right now you're just wanting to find a roof to put under your head. And that is what I really like about solution based and strength based, is that it really does cater to the individual client's needs. And as a role of a counselor, my job is to be able to meet them, to listen to their needs and meet them where they're at. The role of the client. Just like the role of the counselor, the client's role is equally as important as well, if not more important. It does take two to tango. In order for a therapeutic progress to work, they must be willing to be engaged. They must be able to reflect on their strengths, set realistic goals, and embrace the process of change, no matter how small or how menial it is. If they're able to keep at it, then then they're able to benefit from this therapeutic model. So the role of the client, especially using strength-based and solution-based therapy, is being able to set realistic goals that they know that they can achieve, and they know that they can always go through every time there's a milestone or a little turbulence on the way. And if they're willing to engage, and their job is also to engage in the interventions that have been proposed by the counselor, when willing to do that, then there is a model of change. The other thing too, using strength based, is them being able to embrace their strengths and take ownership of change. So change is a process, is not an event, and it requires consistency, realistic goal setting, and willingness to adapt. There has been an old phrase that has been debated for a little bit of time, which is, it takes 90 days to build a new habit. Now, granted, this has kind of this meaning or this time frame specifically has kind of been going back and forth for a little while, but the core of the message remains the same. Consistency is key in order to change something. Like Rome wasn't built in a day. You need to be constant in your therapeutic process, in your goals, and basically whatever you do in order to achieve the outcome that you want. So with solution-based therapy, change happens incrementally. We might ask the client, what's one thing that worked for you in the past? This question helps clients reflect on their capabilities and build momentum. By asking these questions of what they did well in the past, or what they did with a solution, with a problem that was kind of like this, it helps kind of ground them, thinking, you know what, I have been through this before, I can go through this again. With strength-based therapy, it's celebrating small successes in order to help the client develop resilience. For instance, acknowledging a client's inability to overcome past challenges can inspire confidence in tackling new ones. I use strength-based all the time when I'm currently at my current job, and I have clients focus on their past achievements and then try to weave it in to their current problems, and see if they can use that mindset from back then to achieve that problem, to be able to achieve the current problem that is going on right now. But even though this does sound very cheerleaderish, I always will say that we have to be very realistic. So when I'm using both strength-based and solution-based, I am encouraging very realistic incremental achievements. One prime example I can offer is a patient that is high acute, that doesn't take a shower a lot because of previous trauma. Instead of having him take a shower every single day or every single week, or 4 times a week or what have you, I first started off small, where I said, you know what, like you done this before in order to get your Outback Steakhouse. Let's try that again. Take a shower once a week, and if that's a little bit too much, let's kind of go back to once every 2 weeks. And I worked with this client for about, I want to say, 5 months, and it was first once every other week, and then it was then once a week, and now he's up to 3 times a week. The reason I bring this up is because I set realistic goals and I met him where he was at, which was just which was just having him take a shower once a week, in order to achieve the level of cleanliness that he originally used as a goal of his when him and I did a care plan together. View on multiculturalism and diversity. As stated in the ACA guidelines, we need to be culturally aware and support social justice. We also must be socially competent when counseling others from diverse backgrounds. As a counselor, I am deeply committed to integrating multiculturalism and diversity into my practice. My identity as a Palestinian and Peruvian gay woman gives me a unique perspective on the importance of inclusive counseling. Historically, psychology has been often overlooked from the experiences of marginalized groups. There was one incident from the APA in 2008 where there was a lot of criticisms of the APA only using statistics and only using perceptions from Anglo-Saxon individuals who come from a rich socioeconomic background. Because of that, this statement in itself really does show the importance of including others in counseling and how important it is for us to be able to understand where they're coming from and to see where they're coming from. Personal identity informs commitment to cultural competence. Like I said, since I'm Peruvian Palestinian, I do have a little bit of background in being multicultural, but at the same time, just as not everyone understands my culture, it goes the other way as well. So in order to prevent that from happening, I will be seeking outside counsel from the ACA, from various websites, from workshops in order to be very knowledgeable when it comes to dealing with others that do come from very rich cultural diverse backgrounds. One thing that I love about solution focus is how it adapts to cultural norms and values. Johnny S. Kim actually wrote a book about using solution based therapy in different marginalized groups. And he talked about in a specific overlap when it comes to the Hispanic community and the African American community, and how their approach to not really focusing on the past and just kind of being present in the here and now and focusing on the presence in the here and now really really did resonate well with them. And the reason I really do like strength-based leverages or strength-based therapy in multi diversity setting is because it does talk about using our cultural background as a strength in recovery. And I can say that I take so much pride in my Peruvian and Palestinian heritage, and just being able to use that with other people, with other clients who do share the similar background, does really make a very good therapeutic rapport. As I continue my journey as a counselor, I have many goals that I want to address in order to be the best counselor I can be. The first one is I want to deepen my understanding of counseling theories. Even though I use support based and strength based in my current job in a very, very surface level way, as I'm not a practicing counselor and I don't have an LPC, even after I get my LPC, I want to be able to use these two theories as much as I possibly can and understand every nook and cranny from them so I can use it in a competent and professional and very, very effective manner. My second goal is enhancing my skills to adapt to methods to diverse clients. Everybody is different and everybody wants to be treated as an individual, not as some amalgamation of a group. I talk about this because I'm Peruvian Palestinian, and I don't always want people to assume that I think a certain way or I am a certain way or I have to be treated a certain way because of my background. So I want to enhance my skills in adapting to these methods because at the end of the day, we all want to be treated as people. The third one is I want to continue learning to support empowerment and resilience because I do catch myself being cheerleaderish from time to time, and I really do want to like stop that bad habit as I go into my counseling career because I do, like I said, I do want to be competent and I do want to be very effective in my field. And I just have to keep on learning. And luckily, with ACA and different websites and different guidance that I see out there, I truly do believe that that wish can become fulfilled as time goes on. The last one is to strive for inclusive, culturally competent practice. Even though I am Palestinian Peruvian, just as not a lot of people know about my culture, the same thing goes from me. I don't know about everyone's different culture. I don't know what their perception is and where they're coming from, but I aim to change that. because in order to be an effective counselor, you do have to meet people where they're at. As I, been saying in the PowerPoint quite a few times, is I want to see where they're coming from. And in order to see where they're coming from, I myself have to be very educated in their culture, and not only to avoid, in order not only to avoid, miscommunications or offending somebody, but also to really bring in a light about my counseling practice, which is, you know, Lori Ramadan is really good at being able to understand where I'm coming from, and understanding about my culture, and how I am like perceiving and processing everything in my way. Closing thoughts. There is still so much I need to learn about solution-based therapy and strength-based therapy. I am still using them, like I said in the previous slide, in a very surface level. I am only using it as a tech, so my training on using them is just very surface, very just very bare. As personally, I do not feel comfortable using it in a more clinical setting, because it's still such a new theory that I'm learning, and I just don't feel comfortable using that as an LPC when I don't have my LPC, because I don't have the training for it. But even though I am still learning these theories, one thing I can say for sure is that these theories are for me. These theories are, in my opinion, perfect why I want to use them. These theories are perfect on why they would be beneficial for both inpatient and residential settings. And another thing too is, since I am multicultural and I speak both Spanish and Arabic, I want to use these theories in different languages and see how effective they can be with reaching two different populations that I am so blessed to be a part of. But I do want to say, Professor Stewart, thank you so much for showing these theories, and thank you so much for being my professor, as this was the most enlightening experience I have ever had, and it really did humble me, where I knew, yes, I've been in this field for close to 3 years, but there's still so much I need to learn, and there's so much I need to better myself in order to be the most effective counselor I can be. I hope you enjoy my presentation, and thank you so much.